What if I told you that the truly blessed are the brokenhearted, that real strength is found in gentleness, and that the ultimate act of rebellion is to love your enemies? These aren't slogans from a modern wellness guru. They are the core tenets of a speech delivered over 2,000 years ago by a carpenter from Galilee, a speech that would become the most revolutionary manifesto in human history. Prepare to explore the Sermon on the Mount. Stay with us, because the ideas we're about to unpack have the power to challenge everything you thought you knew about success, power, and the meaning of a well-lived life. Our story takes us to a sun-drenched hillside overlooking the Sea of Galilee. A crowd gathers, drawn by the reputation of a compelling new teacher, Jesus of Nazareth. He doesn't speak from a grand temple or a royal court. He simply sits among the people and begins to talk. What follows, recorded in chapters 5 through 7 of the Gospel of Matthew, is not just a sermon. It's an ethical earthquake, a blueprint for a new way of being human. The sermon begins with a series of bombshell declarations known as the Beatitudes. In an instant, Jesus flips the world's value system on its head. He says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth." In a Roman world that worshipped power, wealth, and status, Jesus declares that true happiness and God's favor belong to the humble, the grieving, the merciful, and those who hunger for justice. He's not just promising a future reward. He's redefining what it means to be blessed in the here and now. But Jesus doesn't stop at redefining values. He intensifies the very meaning of morality, moving beyond outward actions to the inner landscape of the heart. He says, "You have heard that it was said, 'You shall not murder.' But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment." He raises the standard from the act of killing to the poison of hatred. He does the same with adultery, stating that even a lustful look is a betrayal in the heart. For Jesus, righteousness isn't about following a checklist of rules. It's about a complete transformation of one's inner world. Perhaps the most shocking and revolutionary teaching in the entire sermon is the command to love one's enemies. In a world governed by an eye for an eye, Jesus presents a radical alternative. "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This isn't a call for passive acceptance. It's a strategic, active command to break the endless cycle of retaliation with the disarming power of sacrificial love. It is, perhaps, his most difficult and defining teaching. Jesus then turns his attention to the practice of religion itself. He issues a sharp critique of hypocrisy, of those who perform their acts of charity, prayer, and fasting merely to be seen and praised by others. He champions sincerity and a private, intimate relationship with God. When you pray, he advises, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. It is in this context that he offers the Lord's Prayer, a model of prayer that has become the most famous in the world, focusing on worship, divine provision, forgiveness, and guidance. He continues by addressing the universal human experience of anxiety. In a passage of profound poetic wisdom, he says, "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them." He invites his listeners to trust in God's providence and to seek first his kingdom and righteousness, promising that all other needs will be met. It's a call to live free from the tyranny of worry. Finally, Jesus concludes with a powerful metaphor of two builders. He compares the one who hears his words and puts them into practice to a wise man who built his house on the rock. When the storms of life came, the house stood firm. But the one who hears and does nothing is like a foolish man, who built his house on sand, and its collapse was great. The message is crystal clear. Listening is not enough. True wisdom is found in living out these teachings. The Sermon on the Mount is not a set of rules, but an invitation into a new reality, a kingdom where values are inverted and love is the supreme law. It challenged the Roman Empire, inspired leaders like Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King Jr., and continues to be a source of inspiration and confrontation for billions. It is a speech that forces us to look inward and ask, on what foundation are we building our lives? The Sermon on the Mount is a blueprint for a transformed life. Which of these teachings challenges or inspires you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to continue exploring the most powerful ideas and speeches in history, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Until our next journey into knowledge.